Hey, this is Russ Payton with Role Playing Public Radio. This is an RPPR episode of some number. I don't know exactly when this episode is going to go on because this is a post-mortem of a campaign we just finished running recently. Fall of Delta Green, the Borellus connection. But, we have to wait till the entire actual play campaign is posted before the post-mortem will make sense. But with me is the cast of the Borellus connection. So we'll just go down with Aaron. And you were playing Aaron.
Hi, this is Aaron Carson. I was playing Gina Lynn, which is actually the pre-gen of the pre-game to all the Borellus connection that we decided to use when we were playing Fall of Delta Green, and decided that she needed to be on this adventure, and kind of ended up being slightly team mom for some of it.
Yeah, that was Aladdin's Cave, which is in the main Fall of Delta Green book. So, and then next up we have Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Doing excellent. Great to be here. My character was, I've forgotten his name. I remember he was
David Nelson.
David Nelson, yeah. FBI dude. Shortly after the war, I was chasing a entity that was called the Unzipper, and came embroiled in Delta Green's little heroin misadventure here. And you know what? I don't actually know what his ultimate fate was.
Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit since that was sort of the finale. Next up we have Caleb. How are you doing, Caleb?
I'm good. I played Eli Money, a bright young man, completely wasted in Imperial Wars, but turned out he was really good at it. So
turns out he's really good at it. And just, this will be not posted for a while, but what's going on in Delta Green, podcasting land?
Oh, Jesus. God, when this is posted, I have no idea.
Well,
I'm working on Final Passages, which is a book that ties into John Scott Tynes' Labyrinth. And that's what I'm currently picking away at.
And Dead Channels is...
on Dead Channels, Delta Green Dead Channels.
Yeah, because we're doing some more stuff with the characters from Two Friendlies and the Wolves, and I'm involved. Check out Delta Green Dead Channels and the Delta Green Ghost.io, whatever you call your subscription membership thingy.
It. Delta Green Ghost.io. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. And then finally we have Tom. How are you doing, Tom?
Hey, I'm great. Yes, I played Marcus Abrams. The guy who had a little incident in Central America and at the end got a new job.
Yeah.
Tom, don't be coy. Pinocchio became a real boy in your mind. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's a way of looking at it. So, and of course, if you listen to the campaign, Tom sort of went the ghoul route, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as we see on the front cover.
I still saw the mission through, damn it.
You did see the mission through. So we do see on the front cover, presumably a Delta Green agent blowing away a ghoul or undead guy that's a very large hole in his chest, I have to say.
Probably a Custodes.
Yeah, probably a Custodes, yes. So, the Borellus Connection, which came out last year, 2024, is the first full campaign for Fall of Delta Green, and written by Gareth Ryder Hanrahan and Kenneth Hite. Kenneth Hite, we talked about in the Delta Green panel last year, sort of gave the outline and the overall structure with it, and then Gareth sort of filled in all the blanks from there. So, and one of the things I do like about this book is its graphic design, which I don't know how many of you got a chance to look at the interior of the book after we finished the campaign, but it's got a lovely acid-soaked late 60s vibe to it, as you can see from the title.
Oh, it's kind of like you can already smell the cigarette tar off of it when you're opening the pages.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I believe it's Jen, right? Who did the graphic design for it?
Let's see, art direction.
Yep.
Jen McClear. Yeah, a good call there. And they have a lot of Photoshop photographs instead of traditionally drawn art, which works pretty well. So looking at the contents, we have a small section on the overall structure of the campaign, and then there are 8 major missions for it that are done in order. And while you can insert other missions in between it, when I ran, I decided to just run it as is because it's a lot of campaign, as you can tell.
Okay, you added an entire Carcosa mission. So
that's
don't get too all right. Aside from the obligatory Carcosa mission, you didn't add any yet.
I don't even think about that anymore. That's just that I don't.
I know. That's the concerning thing.
Literally needs to go in the margins between the missions.
Look, to be fair, they started with the Carcosa stuff. If they didn't give me a little in there, I wouldn't have gone that way, but they did. So
if you just hear the beginning syllables of Carcosa, you're going to be diving straight in. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, a little bit, but they say Sovereign Orn will take a shortcut through Carcosa to get away from the player characters. Well, that sounds fun. Then you didn't want to chase him that way. But yeah, so one thing this campaign does that a lot of Delta Green theme material does is take one of the original source stories and then sort of extrapolates it to whatever era they're wanting to look at. So this one takes the case of Charles Dexter Ward and applies it to the 1960s. So Ken and Gar sort of did a close reading of the case of Charles Dexter Ward and pulled some names out of it and some little details into it and sort of like, well, what about these side characters? Not Joseph Kerwin or Charles Dexter Ward, but like some of the people he was conspiring with. Why don't we investigate them and see what happened to them? And yeah, it's a mission of the week kind of campaign. You are a globe hopping campaign, and so it's globe hopping like Massacre and I Below the Tip, but like you're not choosing what order to go in. You it's a very linear campaign in that regard. You have to do this in this order in order for it to sort of make sense, because there's this rising action as you're learning more about this conspiracy of a necromancer who's working with heroin traffickers for the necromancer's secret occult goal. And that's sort of the basic gist of it. So yeah, I guess now, Caleb, you said you've read the entire book so far.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the specifics, what were your overall thoughts of it? And then we'll go to the other players too, sort of, overall big picture thoughts. But yeah, start with Caleb.
I think it's a great frame for a Delta Green story, but I'm kind of biased because I write Delta Green more as, it is, not to say it's not deeply steeped in like historical research and the Lovecraftian mythos and texts, because of course it is, with a Kenneth Haidt outline and Gareth on it, but it's structured like a crime story, which I think the most gameable Delta Green material is essentially a noir with some tentacles in it, because you're dealing with a lot of like horrible human inequity and weakness that enables or is ridden upon by some sort of cosmic mythos monster, and then basing everything in like what we know now in 2023 or whenever it was written about the Golden Triangle heroin trade just gives you like so much material you could work with, because any passageway is, if you mix some mythos things into it, leads to the adventure, which is good because most of our characters were idiots about the investigative thing, but we're really great at killing drug dealers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, Aaron, have you had a chance to look at the PDF yet? Or
yeah, I got to skim over that a little bit in each of the episodes too, and yeah, basically kind of dovetailing off of what Caleb said there, it just kind of come up to the line of like it's like crime drama of the week, except with a lot of mythos stuff. I mean, what it almost weirdly reminded me of is any of those X-Files episodes where Mulder or Scully are basically going into the old files where they managed to find something bigger out of it. And of course it was just, drug bust. That's like major crime ring broken up, but somebody was using some sort of force that they shouldn't have gotten access to. And that's why it had to be buried underneath mountains of it, which again lends itself well to Delta. That kind of the stylistic right now lends itself well to the Delta Green scenarios of it. And I highly enjoyed it too, especially seeing a little bit more into the background of stuff of what we didn't initially get on some of these missions, like the airplane ride, which we'll get into later, and drove me nuts completely. But no, I really thoroughly enjoyed this.
Okay. Yeah. And Chris.
Yeah, I too agree with what Caleb said. No, I concomitant with this sort of like, era and what the nature of Delta Green is. There is a searing, gouging cynicism that perpetuates about every sentence in this book. And and I think the there's a lot of contrasting colors too, which I don't see in a lot of RPG source materials. Probably because of cost reasons, I get it. But right here, they take an advantage of having all this color here, and I think that also kind of accentuates the delta between sanity and madness sometimes. In these types of games.
Yeah, good points. The graphic design again, the graphic design really highlights the source material and pretty well, and really gives the GM like a sense of the vibes of this era, I think. Tom, any big picture thoughts of the campaign?
Yeah, it's one of those. Unfortunately, as a student of history, it's kind of like, oh yeah, this was all happening. And it's kind of one of those like, do you really need to add the mythos to make it worse?
I mean, yeah, that's fair. So, no, that's a good point. Like this, one thing that sort of surprised me when I first read this book, because when I heard about this from Pelgrim's, website or blog or something like that. And it's like, and I think that the tagline was like the French Connection, meets Delta Green. I was like, oh, okay. And I pictured an entirely different campaign, one that would be centered in like, in an American city, like New York or something like that. And you're just
like the French Connection.
You're like, weird. I thought it would be like the French Connection. And instead of this globe hopping thing where you're bounding from hotspot to hotspot, and I do like, I like this campaign, but I kind of I was looking forward to having like, something where people built up connections with particular characters over the campaign and sort of, had little story arcs with each of these different facets of one particular area's life. But like, this is a Ken Height, campaign. So like, we're going to dive in all the weirdest spots in this era for our mythos action. So kind of getting the highlights of the weirdness. So and again, this is a very linear campaign in terms of like, you got to do these in order, man. You can't really, you can insert material in between, but that's about it. Like, but we should probably talk about the star of the campaign, which is of course Simon Orne, the necromancer, the main villain who you don't even hear about for some time. And there's quite a bit material written about him in the first 20 pages, talking like he has 2 pages here on the with all these fucking items, all these spells, and he has quite a bit of history, and it talks about his little order of sorcerers that work with him or work for him that he uses as pawns, and his network, his allies, and the generic stat ups for his the various henchmen he can call up, and then of course the custodies. How was Simon Orne as a villain? I mean, for me, I like he's a very versatile villain and very interesting to work with, but he's not. I don't know. I mean, he's very like, his plan is very standard Cthulhu villain though. He wants to ascend and become.
He's doing mythos shit.
He's doing mythos shit. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He wants to become one with, let's see here, Yog-Sothoth. And Caleb, what do you think of Simon Orne?
I mean, if this wasn't Eli's first international hunt for a drug dealing immortal sorcerer in the final campaign, he probably would have screaming, change the fucking record. He's like, I will be immortal and join God, you and everybody, man. Like, come on.
He is very classic Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu. He's also like a Call of Cthulhu villain more than like a Delta Green villain.
But I do like how like it does take his immortal, unagedness and like really builds the campaign as an integral like load bearing structure. I saw a Reddit comment of people like whining that like, I like Delta Green, but I get the code names all fucked up when you do like cowboy stuff. I got to remember 2 names. I got to remember my code name for the Delta Green and my real name. And then, what if I lie to somebody because I don't want to give my code name away? And I'm like, Simon Orne has 400 years of aliases. You will encounter all of them and not know who you're talking to until maybe the 6th or 7th adventure in the campaign.
Oh.
So it is
also,
like
just alphabet cell. That's all you need. That's problem. What letter in cell?
And it's a grand reveal if you're like hardcore Delta Green head and like taking crazy notes the whole time. But like it can be very easy depending on how it's presented to be like Simon Orne. All right, throw him on the list of guys. that do mythos shit. Because it's not like he's doing it by himself, and then the guys he's using often have aliases. And so it is very complex, which I do think is necessary to make a worldwide international campaign scope to feel like sort of justified. Yeah,
that's a good point. Anybody else have thoughts on Simon Ord as a villain?
I do honestly kind of like that the slowish-ish reveal of him overall. So to the point where, because really when we started out, it really just ended up being like, oh, we're literally in Laos dealing with potentially, resurrected mummies and sorcerers right now. So we didn't see I felt like the larger picture did a good job bringing it in overall, until we found out, especially when, there seemed like dozens of red herrings. It's like, wait, is this guy actually helping out? Is this just a directed corpse? Is he actually part of the problem? Has this guy been promised immortality? So, so I felt it was pretty well, obfuscated until the point where we got like, oh, nope, immortal sorcerer. So.
Yeah, there is a lot of in the campaign sort of backstory that the GM reads about like Simon Orange's preparations for his scheme that have been done over the past not only like years but decades or even centuries. Like it really shows up later on, but you'd be like, oh, he did this 50 years ago to set up this safe house, or he set this up 100 years ago, or he did this. He cultivated this ally or this network of allies over the last 200 years. It's pretty extensive. But yeah, I do say as a GM, running him, especially towards the end when the players are closer to reaching him, especially in the last two missions, this is kind of a mess to run with, because his abilities are, he has these little custodes jars, which I do like.
Pokemon.
Little basic,
yes.
they're Pokemon. They're
dead
zombie
people Pokemon.
Yeah,
essential salt Pokemon.
Dead guy grenades. You throw the glass jar and it's filled with essential salts, and when it breaks open, dude pops out, an undead dude.
It's super effective,
and it tries to murder anybody there. So, and the Thorn Ring's pretty straightforward. If he can nick somebody with the ring, they get cursed and will die horribly. But like these two abilities were a little harder to GM. So the glass warning bottle, basically, there's a ghost in a bottle that will warn him of any danger within 100 yards.
The glass warning bottle isn't hard to run. It is the button that says you don't find the princess is in another castle. You're not getting in unless.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's how it kind of did it. Was just like you can't. No, it was just DM fiat. No, you can't do anything. And then the icon Samel, which means you can't like spy on him. Like you can't use SIGINT or photography on him. And that's. It's part of the thing of Gumshoe in general. Again, this is the GM fiatness of it. Like if you're fighting with it, the players are fighting a monster, the monster has a bunch of points. You can just he's just going to dump a bunch of points and attack you 5 times and kill you one round. And, I prefer to let the dice have their say in that regard, but like that's more of a system thing that we've talked about before in RPPR. But
it's getting Paresh Benjapa vibes from him, honestly. Like he's my God, he's Lex Luthor times 100.
Yeah, he is pretty robust as a villain. Yeah. Oh yeah, and his arm, like I totally forgot about his coat, which I mean, you only fought him at the very, very end, so it didn't really matter. But then he has his little, his little sorcerer wizard order that he manipulates, and then he has his network of drug dealers and his, like I said, his goons, and then of course his grimoire with the essential salts ritual and dismissal.
Man, I hate Simon Oren. That bitch has everything.
He does. He really does. There's so many magic items. Like every single named necromancer has like a full page write-up at least with a bunch of items and spells and that kind of thing. I mean, look at all these other spells.
I mean, they're all hoarders anyway, so it's kind of to be expected.
And then we have Derive, which is his portal to another place. And this is how he goes to Carcosa to escape everybody. And that's pretty... And then, of course, one of the highlights of the campaign is all the different ways you can use essential salts. This really is, what if a person was dust and then you put it in drugs? And You
ever smoked people before?
Yeah, apparently it will really mess you up because there's multiple versions of it in here. Yeah. Was there any particular favorite implementation or memorable scene involving the various messed up drugs, necromantic drugs?
I did love reading it that in Horus Hours, the guy that David, now Chris's character, was just fucking with ended up being the dude who got possessed by the salt cut heroin that leaked.
The dude on the plane,
good.
right? The dude I was harassing.
Yeah. The reason he went nuts is because it was the same thing that made the smugglers freak out when we next landed. One of the packages broke open, and it was in the ventilation. So he inhaled a ghost that would then try to kill us.
Yeah.
After you spent most of the first leg of the fight fucking with them. Which was very good.
These are such good ideas. I kind of want to use them in other games, like other scenarios, like, salt cut is, essential salt cut heroin. Like, man, that's a nasty idea.
You just really need ghosts in your blood. So
yeah, exactly. You really need ghosts in your blood. That's exactly it.
Hey, if it's in the 80s, we could do, essential salt, cut cocaine.
Oh yeah, our own version of Scarface. Yeah.
Yeah, but instead make it an upper.
Yeah.
Oh, you were evil in a 1968 Delta Green.
Oh God.
What are you doing in War on Crack? Jesus, I don't think I can do that.
Oh, then we actually make Ghost Rock, which gives us our Deadlands connection. There we go. So.
Oh my God, yeah. Different kind of Ghost Rock, but yeah, sure.
Although before we go, I do want to actually mention my favorite thing, at least relating it around the essential salts, is how much is buried on Easter Island.
Oh yeah. I don't know if other campaigns are going to lean into Easter Island as much as we.
That will always be part of our RPPR canon now.
Yeah,
you got to go to Easter Island, man.
There's always drugs at Easter Island.
There's always drugs.
Courtesy of RPPR.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have the other powers, which show up in sort of minor things. And I don't know if I actually ran them as well as I could have, but like there's sort of these floating plot elements the GM has available to use to sort of help guide the player one way or the other. So we have Frakoth, who is was a cult leader of Shub-Niggurath in, let's see here, 9th century England, and was resurrected and decided, he hates Yog-Sothothi and Necromancer. And so they've been at basically evil wizard war. And Ograkoth can help you. And he shows up a couple times in the campaign, but like ideally he's supposed to actually die. He's supposed to walk into an ambush meant for the player characters in Marseille and die a horrible death. But like you guys are like, no, we're just gonna sneak in and do some sneaky shit and totally bypass that ambush. I'm like, okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
Hey, no, this was
after reading that. After reading that ambush, I was very glad we did.
This was a good game for not being seen, Ross.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. So you didn't did you like the ambush as written, Caleb?
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't hit it because that was.
It is very much a TPK. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and then of course we have Hypnos, which is also supposed to be this like sort of subplot for one of the player characters, which is what kind of made it awkward for me as a GM, because like you're supposed to fixate on one player. And so like, but there's nothing for any other player. So like, thinking about it now, it would be nice if there were like multiple subplots so I could give each player character something, not necessarily a cult, but some kind of like, well, Caleb's dealing with his weird friend who shows up at weird times and, having the weird dreams, but everyone else is kind of like, okay, we're just having normal lives in between our missions, Yeah. And Caleb, what did you think of the Hypnos subplot?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. And I do think that like, considering everything the players are up against, you do need a couple of like mythos ringers to make sure they can ever possibly get to the end game.
That's true.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And again, it's very much in the two great flavors, even better together ethos of the entire campaign. Because it's like, there's one evil mythos wizard that hates him for doing necromancy. There's one immortal mythos god that hates him for fucking with the heroin.
And they have to share an apartment together.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then he's a necromancer. He's also a heroin dealer. It's Vietnam, but it's also a Cthulhu cult. It's Turkey, but it's also this weird sponge thing underground. Like, there's never just one thing in
layers upon layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot to deal with.
There's pretty much a parallel, almost entirely separate unnatural investigation in pretty much every single scenario. Yeah.
That is a good point.
With the exception of maybe Jade Phoenix and even Horus Hours has the Hugh mask. So yeah, that's. Yeah.
Well, not just the Humax, but you literally go over Ryla, which interacts with the Humask. Yeah.
Yeah, so a third
God.
thing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. This is not like a first time. Like if you're running a horror campaign for the first time, this is not like I'm used to doing this stuff, and even this was challenging to run because like I know, I after we ran the conclusion, I realized, I could have done things a couple things differently, but I didn't because there were so many elements to juggle that I was just trying to like make sure that I was trying to get as much of it, as written. I was trying to run it just keeping the bare minimum. So like I screwed up a couple things towards the end, but yeah, there's just so much to keep track of, especially once you get in the middle of the campaign and there's like elements unique to your own campaign run. Like, did the players kill this guy, or were they discovered by this guy? By this faction. What does everybody think about the player character? What's Delta Green thinking about the player characters?
It seems like something that would maybe sing a little better online in a lot of ways because you could Miro board it.
Mm-hmm.
And since so many of the characters in your crime investigation are like like Santo Traficante, like legitimate historical figures, you could do a lot with like pictures and yarn and stuff like that on a digital format.
Yeah, it is not as challenging per se as Impossible Landscapes, but it's definitely not like a beginner's campaign, I would think. So yeah, but let's dive into the adventures. So the first one is Operation Jade Phoenix, which is the one Kin Height wrote, which is just a nice simple murder in going to killing a warlord in Laos. And what could be further? And then of course we have our favorite RPG element, which is a canon NPC. Yeah, and this is in the past, so he has to survive.
Welcome to the jungle.
Yeah, so Adolf Lepus, who would later become a killer for NRO Delta / Majestic 12, and he is in Delta Green novels. And he makes it to like 2001, and so he cannot die. And you have to accompany him to go snipe a warlord. Yeah, so yeah, this was you get. We're not going to go through every single scene or encounter, but yeah, and that was the first one we played. So yeah, what are some of your, what do you remember about this scenario? What really stood out to you? I'll just, go back to Caleb.
Oh, I thought it was interesting in that our campaign itself was suffering the staffing issues of Delta Green. As in, we needed to send people out who could, I don't know, do a black ops in Cambodia, survive. But they also needed to like speak 4 languages and have a deep understanding of architecture and history.
Mm-hmm.
The polyglots. So
not a lot of spec ops architects out there.
Yeah, but they were like 20-year-old draftees. So like it's very much a like I wouldn't call it a bug hunt adventure, but like it's very much focused on like you need to be sneaky, you need to have a very careful plan. You need to figure out logistics with how you're going to use the team that you bring with you, because I hadn't read the book at the time we played it, but it turned out they were not super useful. So I'm glad we did not march with them. So yeah,
because once you get in country, your first real choice is, do you follow these guys or do you go directly to the site? There's several choices you can make about like how you approach the target site, and whether you want to pick up more information or you want to go straight to the site and have more time there. And but it's a very like hex crawl kind of scenario in terms of its layout. Like you're going through hostile terrain, you're dealing with encounters, and you have a military target you have to eliminate, and then you have to escape. And that's but of course there's complications. The target has a sorcerer helping them. There are monsters in the jungle, Tom.
Fucking crocodiles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like spirit paper. It's like paper lanterns. I hated those things.
Yeah. So, I did like how the compound's mapped out, and you can sort of, it becomes this big set piece scene where you can, figure out how you want to approach it. But then we have the escalating, terms of what happens in terms of like, it's almost like a Night's Black Agents thing, right? Like, when the players act and get detected or something happens, the bad guys will react and raise their alarm level, or take various reactions to the players' actions. Putting a lockdown, sending out patrols, sending out one of the puppets, and that kind of thing. So, Chris, did you have any thoughts on the first adventure?
This is the one where I made my heroic escape by abandoning my NPC cohorts, right?
Yeah.
No, it was actually Saigon. No. No, you saved me from a paper doll thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this where I did my bar trick where I blew fire with the whiskey?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
No, I thought this is the one where I stomped the crocodile like the last minute. Like I should have died like 3 times, but I kept getting lucky rolls.
No, that was in Saigon. That'll be next. So yeah, this is a very straightforward adventure in terms of its like design. Like it's, go to the place, kill the guy, come back. Lots of weird stuff happening, but it's kind of also, it is a weird thing that Delta Green is a very military scenario where the rest of the campaign is way more investigative and espionage themed. So if you're running this, you may want to have like a pool of player characters that players can choose from, have a task force with like 10 people. So players can choose different agents for different missions, not just because, especially if you run this in, original Delta Green, like, there's going to be casualties probably, or much more likely.
I think like just for a sheer amount of time, like the 8 adventures with travel times in 1968, all taking place in 1968, is like you're having a busy year. Like, there's a lot of Delta Green going on that year.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I did slow down the campaign pace. Like one of my other pet peeves with this campaign is that they don't give exact timelines. And so like, especially towards the end when the time actually matters more because they're historical events in like Marseille and Baltimore, I couldn't really give players exact time. And some of these missions are supposed to be done back to back, which is also a pet peeve of mine because Fall of Delta Green is like Delta Green in that you're supposed to have home scenes between adventures, and
we love America, but God, can we sleep?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have the rules for like bonding with your loved ones or pursuing activities and alienating yourself from your bonds. And it's annoying.
I mean, I get it. It's the trap of writing any kind of Cthulhiana thing. Cause like people want the historical realism. They want the research, and that requires like a fixture and a time and a place. But like the second you include any hard date, anybody's like, I don't like that, I'm going to change it. And then they just flip it all and then blame you. Or so you leave it out and then they complain that it's not in there. Like it's a real catch-22. Like you're never gonna please anybody.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Yeah. But the next one is supposed to lead directly into after they kill the warlord and escape. They're supposed to be sent directly to Saigon, and this was obviously the longest mission in terms of. I think we had like 3 sessions to get through this because
I think this one's my favorite in the campaign. Personally,
well, it brought us Captain Love, though.
I did bring us Captain Love.
That is one of my favorite things you have ever done, Caleb. That was I love that whole scenario.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry.
And and also we're not going into the damn tunnels
yet. So
that's another thing with this campaign. This campaign is very thorough, and there's a lot of pages described to things that the players are almost certainly not going to do if they have any sense whatsoever. And,
I'm talking the Saigon tunnels. Like, we're not going down. Who wants to go down into the water-filled sewer tunnels?
Well, I mean, like that.
You love the European tunnel, Tom. Like we went in a lot of tunnels. There are many underground
That's
locations.
different. That led to Prague.
Yeah. Which none of you went except for Tom's character. Yeah. And like I would not have said
I know that comes later. I'm always going to wonder what happened to those other agents.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So in Saigon, you're supposed to spy on the heroin trafficking and also network because they're having a meeting there. But also there's a Cthulhu cult in Saigon, and so you're looking into that. And
also the Viet Cong have spies, which is a whole other faction.
Yeah, so
not to mention the actual heroin dealers.
So there's
fourth faction.
Well, there's 3 hostile factions to you: the Corsican mafia, the Cthulhu cultists, and the Viet Cong, and they all want to kill your characters.
Yep.
And this scenario does have specific rules for antagonist reactions, as you're supposed to keep tabs on like what they all think about you. How much do they know about you? Let me see here. They have special rules about this, about like how much they know and like what you can do to lower things. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Saigon suspicion. So it's a whole mini game about like, and this is why, yeah, this could be a campaign setting or a whole campaign in of itself is, like, oh, look, you mug a target, you do suspicious activity at this hotel, you show your BNDD badge to somebody, you buy heroin, you do any of these things, and you'll raise suspicion. And
yeah, this is not how I run DGRPG, but I know people who, like, if adapting this into DGRPG, would run this in like 15 to 20 sessions. It would be a year's worth of gaming. Yeah.
It's a very, very complex city. It's lots happening. And again, we have Jean-Francois Chaudery, the French necromancer, who has turned himself into a lizard man or a crocodile man to give himself immortality. And he's the main, necromantic bad guy. And so he's got a big detailed setting. Then one of the Corsican mafia people is a necromancer as well, or a witch, sorry. And they have very complex abilities. And you're spying on two separate hostile factions while a third hostile faction is just trying to kill everybody. And there's a lot, and this is the most sandbox of all the scenarios too, because it's like, what do you want to do? You have a week until your cover is to monitor this heroin trafficking summit at a hotel, but you have a week until they show up. And so you have plenty of time to figure out if there's a Cthulhu cult, and there's all these people you can talk to, and you talk to most of them. And there's all kinds of different plots.
The other thing, sorry,
the fact that we hired a river rat too was very, very Eliminators.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, the movie The Eliminators is a classic. You should watch it. Yeah, sorry, Caleb.
I was just gonna say, like, one of the interesting thing it does is that when it has these two things, it's like you always have a cover job and then a real job, but often your real job should be your cover job. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, for this one, the cover job is being a BNDD guy monitoring the drug meeting, right? Mm-hmm. But that's where you get your core clues at. Like, that is where you find the next place on the heroin trail and move to the next adventure and find out who built that terrible camp that you just came from. The real reason Delta Green wants you to do there is that you're going to go attack the remnants of this Cthulhu cult they didn't wipe out in 1958. But essentially all you're doing there is going after Oren's gopher, who is stealing a mask from the cult to give to him. So, whereas you get into the later things and it's like reversed, like, well, the real reason you're here is Carcosa is breaking out. And then you're just like, no, fuck all that. I'm just going to tell my boss I'm here for Carcosa. I'm here for drugs.
I'm here to kill that necromancer.
Yeah. Like, fucking hate that. And you're completely ignoring the Delta Green thing and like diving at the mundane BNDD thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I know what Caleb means by saying gopher, but like now I want Oren to actually have like a pet gopher, like Buttley or Asriel, like a mascot for him.
Well, he's a crocodile guy. That's pretty much
true.
Yeah. I should have given him a little pet, half human, half crocodile that he could like a cat.
Hiss laughs at him all the time.
Yeah, then Tom wouldn't have killed him. Yeah. So
you don't know me, Ross.
I don't. Wow. You would not have killed the crocodile hybrid thing. So yeah, this particular scenario also has a lot of like incredibly deadly combat encounters that not necessarily deadly, but depending on how many assets you can bring in, airstrikes and fire teams to help you clear some of these places. Like there's an old plantation house. There are all these places. You didn't find the actual temple, in the Rungsat swamp. You did go to the plantation house, but you didn't find.
Wait, didn't Nelson run towards it when he got crocodile people and then ran away?
He did.
I think it was another hole in the ground that he wisely said, "Do not go in."
Yeah, there's
the second giant hole in the ground full of monsters in this.
Yeah, you did not. Yeah, the Chimer Temple, you did not find that one.
Oh, we didn't find that one. Okay.
Yeah, that has the oblong swimmer, which is very bad.
The oblong swimmer. That's the name of this thing.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the oblong swimmer embodies the hypergeometry of the temple, truncated and continuously trying to solve itself. It is 9 by 5 by 2 Or is it 18 by 10 by 4? Seems weirdly regular with defined angles and curves. Yeah, it's a hyper geometric. Yeah, it's a weird thing. And
Couldn't give it a Stygian name. Couldn't get 12 consonants and 2 vowels and a couple apostrophes together. No,
It's just the
Gotta call
confused
it all
parallelogram.
Hey,
It's
I appreciate the directness.
It's Lovecraftian. It's undescribable.
Yeah. you all focus on the plantation, and then you did find a lot of stuff. You did find several of the first several caches of mythos tomes.
I wish point Eli said, I don't know how to read this shit. Mailed it to America and smoked some weed. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't talk Latin.
And then the Continental has the actual meeting showing up.
Oh
Gosh.
gosh.
That. And yeah, this is the most Night's Black Agents of the adventures too, because there's a lot of intrigue and espionage, and there's a whole like itinerary, day by day, what are the gangsters doing, and
Lots of wiretapping and shit.
lots of wiretapping, lots of spying, lots of good stuff. Caleb, yeah, Captain Love. Listen to our actual play campaign. Yeah, I don't know why you're listening to this if you haven't, but yeah, it's a really cool setup. And yeah, this could have been expanded into a full campaign in of itself. But and again, it's a lot to handle. So read it several times if you're going to run it. But yeah, any other thoughts about Saigon before we move on? All right, moving on to Horus Hours. This is, I think, my favorite adventure, the campaign. It's such a neat premise, and they really made it work. Yeah.
It's well done, and I appreciate it, but it came at the absolute wrong time for me.
Aw. So yeah, using history, it's like a flight over the Pacific takes 100 hours of flying with multiple stops along the way. And so you have to spy on a group of people and not let them find out that you're spying on them. Although they're going to find out sooner or later because you're player characters, you're going to keep messing with them.
But it's fine because we're going to drink a lot.
Yeah. And you're going to drink and you're going to smoke because that's all you could do on a plane. And this one, yeah, it's as a scenario design, getting like you're stuck in a flying tube for a long period of time, but still making it interesting by having very subtle encounters and having stops along the way where players can act up. And again, we're having suspicion meters, which don't really show up later on. Like I don't remember seeing them in future missions nearly as much in the mission 2 and 3. But yeah, and we have the map here to show us all, but like, what is it like to travel? Again, this historical research working really well. And then, any thoughts on Horus Hours there?
That's certainly the bottle episode of this campaign.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. And making a bottle episode really work because it's very tense. You can't
I did really like, again, the ways that we had to subtly figure out how to communicate with each other on the plane, especially given the fact that period piece and not in the era of cell phones or easy texting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I may have made it too easy by giving you that little telegraph thing taped to your leg.
I don't think it was too easy because honestly, it was, I think at some point it wasn't working if I'm remembering correctly, or it just was out like when I forget if it was Caleb or Tom who went
one of the
into
people
dream.
who had the telegraph like fell asleep
Yeah.
because of the magic stuff. So yeah.
I do like how me and Money are like, yeah, we're going to take the first class for surveillance reasons.
Yeah,
that was totally why we did.
I do love this thing here. I think one of my favorite things is the red herrings, which are all these. I think I dropped in most of these people.
Oh,
I think that's the neatest trick of it, because like normally in an investigation, like if there are red herrings in Saigon, I would turn the table over and leave. Like that would suck. If you're just like, no, it's just another random Vietnamese citizen, like that would be infuriating. But they're on a plane and it's so self-contained that you can have these sort of wider ensemble cast of characters.
Yeah,
which is sort of essential to the genre of a mystery or a thriller, but you don't really often get to implement, at least in a good game, if it's a big investigative scenario.
Yeah, I guess at some point I should probably try look at least read Horror on the Orient Express, right? Because that's the classic Call of Cthulhu campaign, set on a train, and there's all these wacky characters that you have to like investigate to figure out who's the bad guy. I did like that one of the red herrings is a spiritualist, and so I could drop in some, Lemurian bullshit and, Madame Blavatsky and stuff like that, just to see Caleb's hackles rise in real time. Oh, we got to kill that lady. Yeah, and then of course Chris dealing with the deserter. That was a great scene. just
Yeah, I just uncork myself and let it flow.
yeah, no, it was fun.
Caused a man to go insane on a plane.
Yeah, just have a little nervous breakdown.
I do recall that I was assaulted by a paper doll, and it tried to bait me into the restroom, but I did not go.
Yeah. So yeah, the one of the so these the bad guys are smuggling not only an occult artifact, the humus, they're also smuggling some of this essential salts and infested drug, heroin. So but it breaks loose and it gets in the ventilation system, and so people can inhale a salt ghost. And so I think I chose one of the sorcerers that you killed in the first mission. So he wants revenge. And yeah, that was obviously I'm going to choose the one that you've killed. And the UFO and Ryla stuff is also fun, having like the Hugh mask interact with Sleeping Cthulhu below. And then, of course, we have Easter Island, which is a fun
which has become a big part of our group now.
Yeah.
What's the one vacation spot we need to go on?
The ending's a little iffy on this because I feel like the payoff should be trying to capture the buyer or not just getting their number, because there's no follow-up on this, and like this character disappears until the very last mission. So there's no, for all that buildup, there's not much of a payoff. And I feel like that's a bit of a annoying fail. But on the other hand, the way the campaign structure, you can't really, if you take out Barnabas Wheeler or investigate him before Baltimore, that kind of screws up the entire Baltimore mission, because he's an essential part of the Baltimore mission. So I don't know what to do about that, but it's kind of disappointing for all that work that the players do, just to like, all right, we saw a guy buy the mask and then he left. Cool. Was that it? Okay. But I guess that's part of the nature of espionage and law enforcement or investigation. It's like sometimes.
What do you say? Not every case is as neatly wrapped up. That's wrong.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about Horse Hours? All right. Also, I like the seating chart. Very good. Very useful. And then we have Turkey De Profundis, which also a reference to De Profundis is also a letter writing RPG, play by mail RPG that's out there. It's supposed to be pretty good. And yeah, this is more classic Call of Cthulhu, Massacre of the Night Lothotep stuff. Going to an archaeological dig site, and bad things are happening. And yeah, there's the taint of IP is it's bad. It's a bad goo, and you gotta prevent it from getting the necromancer getting a sample of it. Although you don't know that.
Hey, there's also heroin smuggling now.
There is heroin smuggling
and body smuggling.
And body smuggling, yeah.
Guys, I didn't say, like, summoning the horde of rats and crows assisted us. It got us through that possible ambush.
I think this is the one where I decided I had to kill Tom's character.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I realized I rushed the ending of the campaign. I should have let, like, after you killed Simon Orr, have you two square off, but I was so like focused on just getting through that last encounter that like I didn't have any brain space to be like, oh, okay, all right, I should just let them fight each other or let them deal with each other instead of just teleporting them away.
I like that they're both out there somewhere.
Yeah, I wanted to fight to the death. I should have. Well, no campaign's 100% perfect, but
well, I mean, Abram wins because he can just wait till I die of natural causes and eat my brain. So
that's
But you have time to hunt him down. You're still a young guy. You can hunt him down.
I'm still young.
Yeah, and you're bored.
Yeah, drugs haven't completely destroyed you yet.
Eli's going to be one of the first Delta Green cowboys. Like, let's be honest.
That is absolutely 100%
Operation
true.
Obsidian's that year, or like right after you wrap up this campaign. And so,
Eli absolutely dies at Operation Obsidian. There's no way he's making it through that.
No, if they send him, he may not have been sent.
It's true,
yeah. Carceres might have burned his file. So, yeah, if he goes, he's definitely dead. But like, he is definitely not.
I did say never make me work with Lepus again. So
yeah, exactly.
Maybe they finally listened after I took down a drug dealer.
Yeah, you get one favor for killing an immortal.
I saved Baltimore. All right.
Yeah, exactly. It's your one favor. No,
I get a day off.
Yeah, this one is pretty straightforward too. You guys, I really did like your solution of just like laying siege to which is one of the options of laying siege to the archaeological dig site, and siege of the mound, and just gunning them all down. And it worked pretty well. Most of these other options are more if the players screw up more, which players can do. But yeah, it's a well researched scenario. I like the setting. It's a part of history I've not looked at Turkey in the 1960s. I don't know much about it, so it was good to learn a little more about it. Yeah. Any other thoughts about De Profundis? All right. Moving on back to now on to Beirut, Operation Second Look. This is more, in some ways, it's a bit like Saigon in that it's a city with a lot of tension and a lot of like different factions. But it's not nearly as complex as Saigon because there's only two groups trying to kill you: the gangsters.
Well, there's the historically real linchpin Swiss Nazi.
Yeah, that's true.
Who connects everything in this one? Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of real people in this, aside from immortal, zombie Nazis and undead. There are actual people. So yeah, Francisci, let's see here, Francois Janud is a real person, was a real person. And I think Marcel Francisci is also a real gangster.
Oh yeah, most of the Corsican stuff is pretty well researched. Yeah.
Yeah. So, going through here, this is another open-ended city thing where there's a lot of different places to investigate and a lot of different contexts you can draw on. But if you draw on the wrong person or do the wrong thing, it can screw you up later on. There are a lot of things. Oh, if you contact this person, they'll show up here or do this later on because you told them something. And yeah, you went to some of these and you could try and steal because you're trying to prevent the sale of this sarcophagus with a mummy that the necromancer wants. And if you do that, that's good. That'll matter something in the last mission. And that's what you did because you snuck onto the boat in order to blow it up, which was fun. But let's see here. Janud also has a special item that lets him summon a monster. But Caleb, your character showing up with a grenade right in his face was like, well,
I did love reading that. I'm like, man, it was really hard to intimidate that guy. I did a good job.
Yeah, no, I was like,
after reading it later, I gave myself a little pat on the back. I'm like, wow, I should have died there.
Yeah. If you just pointed a gun at him, he would have used the amulet. But I couldn't think of him well, even when monster kills that guy, the grenade's gonna drop and I'm not gonna jump away from it that fast. It's a grenade.
You really want to do this?
Yeah, so it's just amulet. Yeah.
I think that's something I like about this campaign so much is that I feel like all of us, all the characters, we all came in like a breath of losing our character, of dying, and we managed to pull through. And it's not because Ross let us live; we just rolled great, and that's what made it exciting for me. Every single session, I was like, I should have died.
Yeah. Yeah, I think closest you got was in Saigon at the plantation raid because those monsters killed your guy that you
Mo, never forget.
Never forget Mo.
And if you had not been able to run away, you would have definitely gotten eaten by that monster. But yeah, there are a lot of times where it's like, well, you made the right spends and so and you rolled well enough. So okay. But yeah, there are a couple other times later on that happened. But yeah, Fall of Delta Green, the characters are more survivable than standard Delta Green agents, but they're still not immortal. And yeah, let's see here. Anything else about this Operation Second Look? The big fight on the boat was a lot of fun, I have to say.
Yeah.
But deal with a bunch of custodies and gangsters and whatnot. Yeah. But
speaking of which, I do find them my least favorite, just because cool concept and all, but they hurt me so bad so many times.
What, the custodians?
A lot of times. Oh yeah.
That means they're a good monster, Aaron. If they,
I said they're a good monster too. I personally just have an issue with them because I almost kept dying to them.
Sounds like a skill issue to me. Honestly.
Go to hell.
You need to think like a monster, Aaron. That's what I do all the time.
That's all you're going towards. Doesn't count.
It helps.
Yep, it's true. Moving on to Operation Puritan in Munich, another city, which is also talking about Caleb, the inverted thing. You're here investigating heroin trafficking, but your local handler is like, by the way, there's a weird radio transmission going on that I need you to deal with. And there's one thing I did shorten up was this stuff they have in here of it requires 10 days of investigation to find this. And so I used those rules, but not I may have been a little more generous about them. I may have shaved days off a little bit, sped it up a little bit. Just because, I don't know, I get the idea it requires, so many days to find something, but I don't know.
To be clear, the majority of the unnatural stuff in this one comes from a smack dealer who ran Courier and started selling books he stole from the Prague house that you really have no reason to visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah, it is paper thin on this one. Yeah.
Yeah. This is, yeah, I feel it's also a part of like Kid Height and Gar were like, here's an interesting place that has some weird stuff going on at this time. Let's add some mythos stuff and tie it into this campaign. It's like, I feel like part of this campaign is like, this place is cool. Let's do an adventure here. This place is cool. Let's do an adventure here. And then they kind of strung it together somehow. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were looking at
the setting's interesting. Like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of like global South quislings spewing propaganda for the CIA. Which one's actually crazy and leeching madness onto the airwaves? I mean, that's a cool setup.
Yeah, it is.
But
and
then
also
at the same time, it's like, where's the heroin? Look for the heroin. And you're just like, I don't think it's probably with this guy. He's
probably not. Yeah,
he's a 70-year-old Turkish man, and he's reading books on the radio. So
yeah, this is idea dense. Like, there's a lot of cool ideas, and also a lot of new monsters. You know, Saigon had a lot of interesting Cthulhian, you know, abominations, and the Saurians, you know, those crocodile human hybrid things. This one has the Alahazaridic Tulpa. So reading the Necronomicon, expelled from the opiated toxic mind of the guy who read it. When agents question him about the book, this thing is a agglutination of unnatural lore that the thief stole in Prague, mixed with the shapes of Ling and influenced by Hypnos. So it's a thought form that manifests as a slimy spider bursting from his eyes, quickly grows to the size of a human. Like, this is, just Gar just making something totally up. It's like, oh yeah, if you read the Necronomicon, it can become an actual monster and burst out of your head. Nearly killed one of you. I
think it was me again.
Yeah.
Was it me? I had to escape from in a car, like I was in the middle of combat with one of these things.
Yeah. No, you were in a bad car wreck, so along with me, I think, because I think it was both of us. So yeah,
were we in the car together? Okay, yeah,
I think so.
So I do like these original monster ideas that they put in each of these, but yeah, investigating Radio Liberty is a very interesting scenario. It would take a lot of reworking. I don't know if it'd be worth it, but you could just rewrite this as a standalone scenario of just investigating this radio station as like a standalone Fall Delta Green scenario. But because you have multiple suspects and they all have their own alibis and quirks, and several of them have read the book, so they're all a little, corrupted by it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of these scenarios that feels like they're just having a bunch of cool ideas and somehow just getting it to work rather than like focusing on the overall plot. Let's see. We do have another Munich lab. Let's see here. Another drug lab to talk to or deal with. And then the Prague house. Okay, so the Prague house is super cool. You'd have to agree, Caleb. Like,
completely.
Like, that's why we had a little tangent where you had side characters.
I mean, I agree. It's a core clue. Like it gives you the star windows, and that's important for understanding the other Orn stuff. And like, it's your only real access to his backstory. Mm-hmm. And all that stuff is really cool. I just like when they're just like, go behind the Iron Curtain while you're in two illegal conspiracies at once. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Through this haunted ass tunnel.
I feel like the haunted ass tunnel I made up. Like
there's no easy haunted ass tunnel. It is smuggle yourself into the Soviet sphere and.
Which they kind of like brush aside in here. It's just like, to Prague. It's a bureaucracy test. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Or you could take the haunted tunnel.
Well, I'm only in my campaign. So I feel like, thinking about this should have been like a separate mission. They should have like expanded on this, had like an intro section of smuggling yourself into the Iron Curtain, because that would have been interesting. Going really undercover, and then getting the Prague house, and then expanding the Prague house, making a proper like, Cthulhu mythos kind of dungeon crawl thing. Because it is like that, but it's just because like the strange birds I really like.
Yeah, the birds were good.
Yeah, they're custodian.
He loves a creepy bird.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. He loves a creepy bird. God love them. Revelations, like half creepy birds. Love.
Oh, that was Gar too. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah. So like the English wizard blew up this house or attacked it years ago, and one of the custodians got blown up and was trying to regenerate, but it fused itself to a bunch of pigeons, and so now they're like half undead mutant pigeons, and they're just kind of hanging out there being weird. And then we have the pool of many faces, which is also super weird and creepy and should be a big set piece, but like it's so missable. Like I dragged you in here because I wanted you to have to deal with the pool of many faces, because it's like, oh, do you want to bring up Julius Caesar or Shakespeare? I don't know, maybe. And then we have, of course, the attic, and then of course the sarcophagus of five things, which you have no reason to open. And if you do, it's a super cool boss fight, but like you're not gonna. Why would you open this other than being really dumb?
Might be a
if you
mummy
made it
friend
this
in
far,
there.
you probably aren't that dumb. Yeah, but it's super cool. But it's just like most player groups, if they have any like sense of self-preservation, aren't going to do this. It's especially this far in the campaign. If this is like the second mission, or even you'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? I can just make a new character. But at this point, you're like 5 or 6 missions in, right? Like you're invested in this character. You don't want to lose them in Prague. So, but yeah, it's so cool. I just wish it would make more sense for player characters to go. Yeah.
This one revealed to me the essential comedy of this scenario. If you were also a different immortal wizard, like watching the actions of Simon Orn, because like he's been prepping for 400 years. Like he has safe houses on every continent of the earth. He's got the stars aligned, and he's got his moment picked down to the second. And he gets foiled by a bunch of like idiots who can barely read compared to him, who are just really pissed about that he keeps putting dead people in all the smack.
Yeah. If he had not been a heroin trafficker, they wouldn't have found him. Like,
yes,
that's
exactly. It's deeply comic from like an outside perspective.
Well, let that be a lesson to you. If you're gonna do the mythos shit, don't sell crack, don't sell heroin.
Yeah,
I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you stupid mortals.
If he'd just been, what kind of crime? Well, I mean, how would he finance himself though? If he'd just been doing traditional like tax fraud or stock manipulation, if he'd just been running an Enron type company, he'd be fine. Man, you could do so many pump and dump schemes if you're immortal. You could set up your own tulip schemes and shit, stuff like that. Like, yeah, but anyway, now we're in Marseille, the next last scenario in France, and it's another big city and this is the Carcosan stuff happening, and which
to be fair, now Orn is using literally as a distraction. The entire point of the Carcosa stuff is he's just teaching the rituals to his cult so that they will fuck up and destroy Marseille in France and like fire break his trail.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they just make the parallel structure very explicit in this one. It's just like, yep. He's also going to throw some Carcosa chaff around. Yeah.
Carcosa chaff.
Ignore that if you want to survive. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to investigate it a little bit at least. It's going to interfere.
Chris, you made a great decision.
When? Doing what?
Oh, yeah.
Jumping through that gate, man.
Oh, yeah.
What else could I do? I was trapped in a weird theater.
Yeah. So, this has a lot of like Carcosan random encounters that can happen that you can choose from. And obviously tons of red herrings. Kind of red herrings because they can lead back to Orn, because he is the one setting this in motion. So you can finally deal with the Order of Almusin Proton. But that's a very... you guys had a great plan of just sneaking in through the sewer tunnels and waiting for them to show up and killing them as they show up. You were hoping he would show up for it. Yeah. He did not show up for that particular one because they tell you that they meet every night, but he doesn't show up every night. So
hey, we did the car chase.
You did do the car. Yeah, you did the car chase. There's a way to chase him down. And they talk about like how there's even a Yojimbo option, but you didn't go for that because
at that point I had killed so many Corsican drug dealers. I really struggled imagining them like agreeing to work with me.
Yeah.
It is a weird concern right now that by the end of the game, how many of us were being actively hunted by the Corsicans?
Not that many. You guys are pretty good about covering your tracks, and you were good at killing anybody who found out about you. So.
That's
Well,
okay.
that kind of comes with that comes with the territory. You got to kill all the witnesses.
Yeah. So this is the trap. He got a custodes with combat training, and so he has a recoilless rifle. So it's just gonna splat anybody it hits. But you guys got to the house before you could set up the ambush. So before you could get the recoilless rifle out, you dealt with him and the others. But yeah, and there's your boy there with his little wizard staff, the earth staff, sorry. But yeah, it's again a lot more books you can find, and there's the stuff for the car chase. It's a very and then one thing that's behind the scenes is depending on your actions depends on how strong Orn will be in Baltimore. And so you guys did pretty well. I think you got in the acceptable range. You didn't get good because you did like he had the mask and let's see here. Agent failed to learn of or well, you didn't know. Yeah, I think he did have the mask, and you didn't destroy that. You didn't intercept the air freight or the sea freight.
Yeah, he didn't have the slime. He didn't have the corpse.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't intercept his freight from here.
You didn't arrest the order. You did kill some of them, but not
we
all.
Killed the Kleist. Yeah.
You did kill the Kleist. So I think you got like an 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So not bad. But you didn't turn the gangsters on Orn. So yeah. And you had to flee to Carcosa, but he didn't have to invoke the outer gods because you didn't chase him through Carcosa. For some reason, you didn't want to chase him through Carcosa.
Well, one of us did technically, so we got those points.
Well,
Chris got those points. Some gave all.
Yeah, that's true. And let's see here. There's a lot of antagonist reactions and a lot of reactions because again, this a lot of this is based on like how your individual group goes through the campaign. And so here's all the Carcosan things that can happen. I don't know if any of you read this, but there's a lot. I only use part of this stuff. There's too much to use for anyone. You can't just use all of these in one run of the campaign. There's way too many. Caleb, were there any that really stood out to you that we didn't use?
I like the guy who was shooting up snippets of play. I thought that was fun. The guy kept on rolling up pieces of paper and jamming them into his veins. That was pretty fucked up.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of different subplots that can happen based on the weird Carcosan shit interfacing with the student protests of 1968. But then finally we get to Operation Nepenthe, and this is the Orn's big, bold plan to become one with Yogg-Sothoth. I wonder how much of this campaign is based on Ken Hite reading up the history of Edgar Allan Poe and being like, oh, I could tie this to the 60s. Yeah, let's just make this about Baltimore and have it be weird, I don't know, but it does feel like yeah. So,
well, I mean, it's a good place to not notice utter chaos in America in 1968 because boy howdy was Baltimore having a time of it.
Yeah, the Holy Week uprising, and then so the player characters chase Orn down to Baltimore and try and find him. This, of course, where Barnabas Wheeler comes in. And so when Tom was talking early in the campaign about being, wanting to do a ghoul thing, I was like, okay, well, there's a way to tie this into the end because you could have ghouls who didn't like Barnabas allying with Orn, and they used Tom as a cat's paw to deal with him.
And I did.
And you did, yeah. Good for you. But everything that's come before in the campaign comes to center here. So we have all these variable elements. You did pretty well, got most of them out there, except for, obviously the Hugh mask and I think the ingredient, because there's no real way to stop him from that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Barnabas Wheeler, one of these characters with a bunch of shit and like his grave dust shotgun. If he shoots you, you get shot with a ghost. Yeah. And so you're just a ghost. You're just possessed by a ghost now.
But this is what I'm talking about with the crazy timeline. If this is all supposed to take place in 68, so that's the riots are like in April. So like give it some leeway, and you're doing it a month. That's April 1968. So we've been doing at this point we've been on the trail for 4 months. That is a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah,
4 months.
Yeah, for getting like 3 separate continents. Yeah.
Two of which involved like multiple days long surveillance operations for weeks, like in terms of Saigon and Munich and Marseille. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get injured, man, you better heal fast.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is also, there's a lot of angles to look into in terms of how to find it, how to find Orn and get closer to it as before. A lot of this stuff was a little abstract, especially like dealing with the ghosts of Orn and the time travel stuff. The time travel stuff is a bit challenging to run because Orn's basically created a pocket dimension version of 1849, I think. 1849 Baltimore. Where is it? Yeah. Where is time slip? Into the past. Yeah, 1849. And it's not normal Baltimore because there's thorns all around it and everything, but like, God, there's so much like, oh, you see Orn as a ghost. You see a different version of Orn as a younger man before he has a scar, and then after he has a scar, and then it's just a lot. And then we have it's just very challenging to run and keep track of all this stuff, I say, as a GM. So I felt like, I don't know if you could tell on your end whether that suffered, but trying to keep track of that was certainly. And like, he's Isaac Pelham here. And so, it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell if you were struggling so much as like if I had just built the wrong character to see the full story, which I also think is a thing that can happen in this campaign. But again, I kind of like the idea that he's just like, another foul Mercian sorcerer come to foil me. And it's a guy who's just like, you ruined my heroine. I want my money back. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't get to be immortal.
Yeah. No,
universe is not my father.
I don't know if you can like see the entire story from any one playthrough of this campaign as a player. Like there's so many aspects of it, but yeah, I mean, it helps if everybody's like more diversified, or if you have a larger player pool and everyone has a lot of different specialties that you can, hit every angle of it. But
I mean, it works out. It makes a story where it's like literally unknowable. Like you're just a human trying to chase this ungodly weirdness.
Yeah.
I was intrigued, like the kid we found. I didn't know what he was all about, but then reading what that was about, that was fucking weird. The kid we found in the abandoned lab. Because I couldn't figure out what he was doing with all that plan, but that's pretty fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the listeners, the child was taught the resurrection formula as a failsafe, and he could only say the resurrection formula basically, and basically he wants the child to resurrect him at a certain time in order to. Yeah, it's quite weird, but it's also themes of child abuse and abandonment and neglect, and it's one of those things is how are you going to figure out what the plan is for this kid, because I don't even think there's like a diary or something that explains the child's purpose, so it's just
he can whisper parts of the formula, and if you know the formula you can recognize it, but that's otherwise the clue. And then there's the weird furnace and like pulping machine he made with the handles on the inside that he used to kill himself, that's what weirded me out. I'm like, is he resurrecting himself? But then I was like, how did he cast the formula? And I didn't know you could just like teach it to a kid like a nursery rhyme and have him scream it at your ashes. Yeah.
See, this is where the plot gets really complex, and his plan is very delicate, or very, very lots of moving parts for his plan, I'll say. So, and of course, this is where Hypnos comes to a head, and then of course Majestic shows up, and they can be allies, or not allies, but allies at convenience, but or secondary antagonists. So
unless you feed them to others.
You're not supposed to do that. I mean, that's but you made a choice.
Or just having to convince them, do you want to be the food for interdimensional kudzu? No, then help us defeat these things. Get a tank.
And then we have our final confrontation beyond time and space at a historical landmark, the Phoenix Shot Tower. And then you got to fight Orn through space and time as he's trying to become a god. And he has a base pool of abilities. You're trying to whittle it down to 0 while he's trying to make skill checks to get to a total of 20. But you had several of the things that could hurt him very badly, like the Earth Staff. And he can, like some of these things, all times are one. Like there's no game mechanics for this, which is he can change one of the star windows so it opens up to another point in space and time, and pick another time where one of the agents change their timeline. So it's like there's no game mechanics for what happens to an agent. Does that just like kill them or delete them? So I kind of had to adjudicate that on the fly. I used that once to try and like, Marcus, you didn't crash in that helicopter, so you're not a cannibal, and you're not thus never become a ghoul. And you're like, no, I don't. I still become a ghoul because like I didn't know how else to run that. Yeah. So
yeah, he's like, I deny your reality, Ross.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, I would. It's not bad as final boss encounters go. I feel like, but like I feel like it could have been a little, I don't know. I would have thrown in a couple of like a Uber custodes to like run interference or be at least a tank for Orn to, distract the player characters. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, any of you have any thoughts on the final encounter?
We got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Put on your flight suits. Mission accomplished.
All right. Yeah, doing big boss fights in any RPG is tough. You're trying to break the standard conventions of the rules, and yeah. So, but yeah, you're supposed to just You're just supposed to go. The tower becomes normal. You're supposed to just walk outside in a normal day, not just teleport. I added Chris at the end as a Carcosan element to sort of like wrap things up neatly and undo the thorn infection, and Carcosa won. So that's what happened to your agent, Chris. So
excellent.
Yeah. But yeah, then we have a list of the sources and an index. But yeah, any other final thoughts on this campaign before we wrap it up?
It's very cool. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely like the group we had in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with certainly the skill stuff right now, I felt it covered a pretty wide area right now of different things we can do, from like my CAA translation to Money's more guerrilla tactics for that's like warfare and whatnot, and everybody else.
Yeah, it's kind of like a historical. I mean, it's a historical travelogue of a campaign. Like you're going, these are just the most messed up places in 1967, 1968, and killing cultists about it. And yeah, Caleb.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think it really shows the strengths of the gumshoe system in having sort of this like resource management pool that refills and depletes and refills and depletes, and it's about controlling your throttle on rolls really to get through the story. So I think that's good for how big it is and how much there is. And that
Right.
If you just keep your pedal to the metal, you're not going to get through it. So it's very much about pacing yourself, which is kind of a good thematic mirror to the obsession of the story, at least when you have like car stairs and stuff. So
Yeah, good point. So yeah, that wraps up our sorry, Tom.
I will say, yeah, it also I think it helped me get over my bad feelings about Night's Black Agents.
Oh, yeah. Would you care to elaborate on that, Eddie?
I think it was because I think in Night's Black Agents we almost never got to rest.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that was me sort of running it like, yeah, you have to give players more time to refresh their pools in order to really feel like they because otherwise you want to make those spins so you can do cool shit. But like, yeah, that makes sense. It's in a sense, it's kind of like the D&D paradigm, all right, the wizard's out of spells. We had our 5-minute battle. We got to rest another 8 hours. Well, it's not quite that bad, but it's not. There's similarities. So cool. Well, thank you so much for playing in this campaign. I had a lot of fun running it. A lot of fun reading the campaign book. So thank you, Gar and Ken and Pelgrim for creating such a fine and interesting book. And probably maybe by the time you listen to this, I've started posting our next campaign, which will probably be Shadow Dark for the Ave Nox Mega Dungeon, but we'll see. If not, we'll see. I don't know when this is getting posted because so hopefully before the end of the year, probably like September, October. But yeah, we'll see. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening, and check out patreon.com/RPPR for Patreon bonuses, episodes, and podcasts, and PDF scenarios, and all kinds of cool stuff. And also check out Delta Green Dead channels. And yeah, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.